Welcome, fellow esports fans. My name is Jake Superman Casting Mori. Casting alongside me this evening is none other than the play-by-play paladin himself, Ben Jihadre Sorensen. Happy to have you along with us this evening for Week 5 of the Pacific Alliance of Collegiate Gamers League of Legends Spring Tournament. We've got an amazing match for you tonight.
It's the University of Utah versus Stanford. These two teams representing the North Division are completely undefeated match scores. This is going to be a massive match here tonight. Why don't we pull up our graphic right here to show you who, in fact, are the top teams in both the North and the South brackets here. Yeah,
I mean, looking at the standings here, you can see Utah and Stanford are at the top there. Undefeated match scores. That's 3-0. That means out of the best of threes they've played so far, all of them have been victories. WSU slightly behind. They've only played 2 matches in total. That means they're up 2-0. But just so you know why they're ranked specifically in the way that they are, Utah's at that #1 slot because they've never lost a game either, right? 6-0 overall total game score. Stanford is 6-2, so they have lost a couple of games, but still bring out the win in best of threes.
Indeed they have. And so now to give you, let's go ahead and look at today and a preview for what's going to be happening Wednesday. All the excitement here for the PACG in terms of the League of Legends tournament. We have Utah and Stanford tonight. Super hype game to decide which of these teams belongs at the top of the group. And then on Wednesday, we will see Arizona State come to the stage for the second time this tournament and try and stay in that undefeated record against UCLA.
Yeah, should be some great matches. I'm excited for tonight's games. Utah versus Stanford will be coming away just shortly. Let's take a look at those lineups.
Yes, definitely. We have on the blue side for game number 1, the University of Utah. That will be Swish in the top lane, Kraydon in the jungle, Soul Rush in mid, James and Toast manning the bot and support.
Yes, indeed. And then Stanford on red side, that's going to be Carlton Dunks in the top lane. I like to call him that. Clans in the jungle, Dolce Pooncake in mid with Fiddix on that marksman role with Mr. PPH supporting him in the bot lane.
Now, I love the way that these teams stack up. You and I have been talking about matchups and ban strategies and things like that because both of these teams are really, really good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that there's going to be Utah might lose a game here tonight.
It's entirely possible. We've seen both these teams play to their strengths, their specific picks that they like to bring out that allow them to give convincing wins here on the stream. We've watched them play, especially top lane. I want to talk about Carlton Danks.
Yes.
With the amazing Urgot play. We've seen him get a few games here, and I keep telling teams, look, you got to ban this champion.
Yeah,
if
you do.
Don't ban it, you're essentially giving a free win. Just
agree.
laning phase, he wins, right? Even against matchups you think he might struggle against, he wins when he has Urgot. And then he carries the whole team, even if they've fallen behind early.
And what was interesting is I believe last week we saw someone else pick up the Urgot after seeing it, and it just didn't work.
Not even close.
So it's not the champion.
Yeah.
It's definitely Carlton picking that up and winning with it.
Yeah.
And it's insane. I think the bigger part of it is that the whole team of Stanford knows when he picks that guy, feed him.
Yeah.
They send Clans up there. They roam Dolce up there, especially because he was on the Kassadin.
Yep.
You know, get the likes of Zach and Sejuani from Clans. It's just they make it so easy for the guy.
Yeah, they do. And then from the mid lane, too, for Stanford, the Kassadin pick has been something to watch. For Dolce Pooncake, he's done so well on that Kassadin pick. There was one game I recall, too, where I was questioning the Kassadin pick. I said,
I remember that.
I don't know if you can really do this because you have no laning presence. I believe they had like a weird jungle. It was the Poppy jungle that they brought out, if I recall correctly.
Was that the same game? Was that the same game? Give me just a second here. Sorry, folks.
Well, one way or another, it was that the early game draft was just, like, not there for Stanford. And I kept talking about how the Kassadin pick was suspect because it's in a losing matchup. You're not going to do well. What can you do to help your team? But even though they still put their confidence in that pick, Jihadre, and it ended up turning out big for them because when team fights began to break out, he was there. He was getting on the back line, deleting them out, and ended up getting so fed that they won the game off of that Kassadin pick.
And so you got to be careful if you are Utah because those are the two. You and I talked. There are 3 required bans against Stanford. Let's see if Utah has done the homework to see what those are.
So that's going to be the Kassadin for mid lane against Dolce Pooncake. You've got to ban that out. Carlton Danks does very well specifically on the Urgot pick. You have to get rid of that. So if it's not going to be those 2 bans, then you're looking at, as a follow-up too, Mr. PBH will almost always take the Tarek pick if it's left open. And I talked about how marksman bans are the ones to go about it against Utah. So Stanford with the Caitlyn ban, I think that's the most standard one. You might want to see Zaya get banned out as well. If we're just banning out Caitlyn, leaving the other marksmans up, then you move to jungle support bans from here. You can see the Zac now pops up on your screen.
And so what's interesting is Utah has opted not to ban any of those champions so far that we've been talking about. They must be confident into it. And you know what? For good reason. Swish and Soul Rush have proved time and time again that they are good enough to face whatever matchup comes their way. And so I think that they have something specific to counter it. And Soul Rush playing that kind of roaming style that he prefers. So I think they have their answers.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, when we normally see Stanford pick those champions in their draft, those solo lane all-stars, I want to say, the Kassadin and the Urgot, it's later in the draft. So you wouldn't see them get picked early unless they're really confident that they can play them into a blind matchup. But you see now with all the first bans coming through, Zaya also banned against James. That leaves maybe only Twitch as that hyper carry late game unless they're going for something even more all-in to that kind of a strategy like a Kog'Maw.
Well, I think that what you did here is you forced the not 80 carry first pick. I think that instead you grab your jungler first if you're Utah. Get Kraydon on something comfortable. The only two junglers out are Zac and Skarner. But Olaf got a recent buff, was very, very strong. We saw in LCS. He also plays Sejuani. He plays Jarvan.
Jarvan, yeah.
I personally want to see the Nocturne come out because he got buffed so incredibly much. But there it is. It is the Olaf lock-in. I think that that's really smart for Utah. That way you're not giving literally anything away, and then you get to see over here the lock-in of the Ezreal for Fiddix.
Fiddix has been comfortable on that champion. I don't want to say it's some amazing pick now that Stanford has stolen away, but it's a comfortable one for Fiddix. Should be fine. It's a safe one, too. It's one where you can try and kite back the Olaf. Even when his ultimate is running, you can create those spaces for yourself and try and remain safe. So I like the Ezreal pick. It's a nice response. I also like the Jarvan pick because that is one form of crowd control that Olaf cannot just ult away.
No.
Ragnarok cannot mean that you walk through walls.
Oh, wouldn't
and so
it be the day?
Yeah, the day where I quit League of Legends. Holy, as a support and marksman player, Olaf is the bane of my existence. So.
But the answer here with the Varus against the Ezreal, I like it a lot. It was actually another one of James's higher picks, higher damages. I like that it does more than I think Ezreal can. Ezreal really reliant on that Q, the Mystic Shot, the Essence Flux, landing the spells in addition to auto attacks, where Varus can just sit there and attack. It'll stack the Rage Blade. He'll just deal so much damage, be able to pop the Blight. I think that it's a better pick. But now we've got to talk top lane.
Speaking of top lane, the lock in there for Urgot. We talked about it. Carlton Danks here. This pick in particular, so strong. He's performed time and time again. I feel like an EU LCS caster now. But against the Gnar, he should be just fine. We've seen him play that matchup before on stream.
He's picked it into the Gnar.
Yeah.
It's on purpose he picks this
he's totally
Urgot.
comfortable with it. So now that we're into the second round of bans, you're going to see Ryze ban. Curious one in my mind.
Yeah, same here.
Used to be really strong. Lots of nerfs. He's still a strong champion. His front-end burst is a lot higher, but his wave clear has suffered based on those changes. Kassadin gets banned out, so not going to be there for Dolce Putin kick. They're not going to get those two solo lane picks. We'll have to see what the answer is here for Stanford, knowing that they have the strong side, top side of the map.
Yeah, and it's going to be even worse because Jarvan is going to be the one ganking for that Urgot. The knock-up from the EQ, even able to flash in there and secure the knock-up once you get the Cataclysm. Gnar is just not going to be having a good time. Like you said, that's the crowd control that will stop Olaf. None of this, what was the disdain from Urgot, no knock-up from EQ, no anything to stop the Olaf. But you know, the interaction with Gnar is actually interesting. If he's Mega Gnar and you ult him, he can just throw you against your own wall, and that would be sad.
Yeah. So it is kind of nice answer to the Jarvan pick. But speaking of these bans, Mr. PBH can't play the Tark anymore, so he's going to pick that Karma. And I do really like Stanford's choice to ban Lulu here. Because the Lulu is, I've said this before, we talked about it mostly when talking about Utah's bottom lane and how you have to ban Lulu against them regardless. Because Lulu in particular, regardless of if it's Toast or Adam Josh, that champion will buff. It will augment James's ability to hyper carry late game regardless of what marksman they pick. It's just so strong. The Whimsy for bonus attack speed, move speed to chase people down and just DPS them to oblivion, plus shielding, slowing, knockups, knockbacks. It's such a strong champion. The Lulu, they're banned out, so you can't have that additional, I want to say, level of carry potential that can come from just the marksman alone. So they take that away. It's going to have to be far more aggressive. Now it's a full-on run-at-you all-in composition. Makes you wonder if Varus was the right boy. Maybe you wanted the Sivir with this kind of draft.
I mean, maybe, but check this out. So Leona's passive is called Sunlight. When she hits a spell, your teammates instantly deal bonus damage because of that. So Varus already going to be dealing bonus damage with his Blighted Quiver. So let's think about that stacking. All that extra magic damage per hit constantly is just going to, I think that's what they're trying to do, is shove this lane and really force them to be careful where they are. And with Karma being a squishy champion as opposed to the likes of Alistar or Braum, I think that it might be wise, but I don't like that pick at all in terms of
for Zoe.
I like it because Stanford picked it into this matchup. She just got buffed, but I don't like seeing Zoe. I don't like seeing that champion make it out of ban phase anymore.
To be fair, she did get buffed. She's strong again.
Yes.
It's been that back and forth buff, nerf to different parts of her kit. I do want to ask a question, though, and hypothesize for a moment. We've been talking about this bottom lane. James on Varus normally is the on-hit, the non-crit build.
Okay.
Right? But speaking of like build path and the way that you're going to deal damage, you talk about the Blighted Quiver. Jahadre, do you see them, because of the nerfs now to Fleet Footwork, do you see James taking Press the Attack? Because if you're locking them down so well, especially in this lane in the 2v2, you know you're locking down probably the Karma. You probably don't even try to go for Ezreal.
No, it'd be too weird.
You've got Ignite. That's so much damage between these two champions already. I think Press the Attack is even better, especially because if in team fights you're looking to be essentially only fighting either Jarvan or Urgot or both if you're Varus, and they're going to be locked down in place. You know that you can auto-attack them, and you have attack speed. You're definitely getting 3 of your auto-attacks onto a single target. I think Press the Attack's pretty good here. The nerfs to Fleet Footwork don't make it a useless one. You can still take it. It still helps you in laning phase. But I don't think it's as good as it used to be for helping you late game. So I like Press the Attack a little bit better. Lethal Tempo seems a little bit memey if you're not having the shield heal supports that are going to give you more attack speed.
Yeah.
So I don't think Lethal Tempo's the better answer. If you're not taking Fleet Footwork, I think you go instead of Lethal Tempo, you go Press the Attack.
That just got buffed too.
Yeah, it did. It's got buffed and then buffed again.
Yeah.
Right? It was kind of adjusted.
So they took the early game and made it stronger on Press the Attack, and that was the first buff. And then on this most recent patch, they doubled the early damage that you get when you proc it.
Yeah.
So it went from 4 to 8. That is huge.
Yeah. What they did is they increased the percent, and then they nerfed that and gave it more like front end burst. And then they went back and give you a little bit more of that percent bonus damage.
Yeah.
So with that all together, plus you mentioned the Sunlight passive from Leona, I think this is a really explosive bottom lane for all-in potential, starting even at level 1. Zenith Blade, you just go E level 1. You don't take the Q for them, like the trolley clearing wards type stuff that you see some Leonas doing.
No.
I think you just go all in those first few levels over and over and over again. Maybe you even cheese them with Olaf showing up with red. You're on blue side, so that's on the bottom side of the map.
Well, and as an Ezreal player, do you start Q? That means you will not have the Arcane Shift.
Not until level 2, no.
And so just exactly that.
Yeah.
There are so many ways that Utah can abuse it at the level 1, and especially like you said, grabbing the Zenith Blade first, I think that's amazing. You don't need the Q. And there's no invading and quick ward killing required in the meta right now.
And for Varus, you go E. That's reduced healing. That means summoner heal does less. Any potions that they're chugging in a fight like that. Plus, it slows them, so if Olaf shows, or even if it's just the 2v2, that's additional levels of crowd control to just lock them into place to delete them out.
Definitely.
So I would love to see a lot more aggression in the bottom lane. Top lane should be a doozy, too. Carlton's come from that matchup, but Nar does pretty well in it. we haven't seen these two teams fight each other yet.
No,
They're
we
both
haven't.
undefeated. I'm
exciting.
super excited, Jihadre. This is Game 1, just about to begin. We've made it through Champion Select now. The draft has completed. This is a best of 3, meaning it's going to take us at least 2 games. I expect 3 from these 2 amazing teams. Undefeated match score. Utah, undefeated game score coming into Stanford versus University of Utah here on Summoner's Rift. I'm excited.
As am I. I really think that if a team has the ability to take a game off of Utah, it is Stanford. We've just seen them do so many good things so many times. They're amazingly strong. I wonder if the cheese level 1 can work for Utah though.
Maybe.
Because if you start red side, that means your bot lane's going to be helping you, and you just all 3 come around the back side and get that gank, even as they're farming the lane.
Yeah, by cheese, I mean, you're talking about Olaf bringing his red buff and running down bottom.
Yes, that is what I meant.
Because if we're talking about invades and the possibility of like 5-man stacking, I think there's heavy favor for Stanford. I never liked, even if you don't have a crowd control, okay, think it. Karma, Ezreal, Zoe could take bubble, but then her laning phase is screwed.
It would be bad.
Jarvan, nope, you don't take W. And that's still just as slow. And there's nothing really there from Carlton. So you would think Stanford, no crowd control, no real crowd control, they should never invade, right? Or even if they get invaded on, they're probably on their back foot, right? No, because in my opinion, Mantra Q from Karma actually hits like a massive truck. When people are all stacked up as 5, you're hitting all 5 of them, and the slow is actually significant. That ain't a Jarvan shield that's hitting you, right? That's not just the Aegis slow AoE that's just like, oh, here's level 1 point in my W is Jarvan, you kind of stutter step for a half second. No, it's you're hit by a thresh box almost, right? So I don't think you can invade against or defend against a 5-man stack from Stanford. So if Stanford knows this and they're confident going into Leona, right, because Leona is crowd control, that's like basically her middle name, then if you're confident, you can go in and you could try for this because you just have more damage and that AoE slow. If you're not, then you just 5-man fan out into the river. You kind of just set up that line of scrimmage. Should be totally fine to just wait that out. So we'll have to see what the level 1 actually does look like in terms of just level 1 before camp spawn.
Well, and even if it doesn't turn into a fight and the kills and the damage come through, Ezreal still runs Kleptomancy.
Yeah.
So if you do fight like that, like you said, the Mantra Q plus an Ezreal Q, that's just going to be how much extra gold turned right over to them instantly.
Yeah, it's bonus gold from that Spell Thief passive 2 for Karma, and you mentioned the Kleptomancy. I play both these champions, Karma and Ezreal, and I can't tell you how many level 1s have gone in the way that you're describing, where even if no kills happen, I'm just like, wait, how did I get all this gold? Oh yeah, this is the champion I'm playing with the keystones I have. Like, I've actually had one level 1. My friends and I joke about it all the time because we were all playing in the same game together. I was playing Ezreal AD carry, and for whatever reason, level 1, I ended up having 4 money bags.
Oh my god.
By the time I ended up leashing my jungler, and I didn't even notice because the fights were just going on for so long, I ended up getting 4 money bags, each of which procced for like between 80 and 120.
Oh my
so I was
gosh.
like, wait, I just got first blood even though nobody died. It was pretty insane.
And that is the risk you run. And so I like that the stack is up on the top side of the jungle for Utah, you know, staying away from that. It is interesting. They're going to try and invade on that red so that you can get the 3 buff against clans. But
Ooh,
if they read it and they play it properly, we've seen a couple jungle invades go this way, and then the attempt back is a failure. They don't. Ooh, wow.
Invading on both sides of the map, though. Look at your mini-map down there on the bottom side,
it's
too.
Good. So there is a ward placed here by Carlton Danks. He is going to have vision, so that means that Utah needs to get back down in there, and they will have lane priority for the first bit. But what we need to see clans do is immediately rush. Oh, is he going to do it? He needs to go down to his own, or to the enemy red buff so that he doesn't lose that.
Yep.
And because Jarvan did get that armor nerf, you cannot start with the chickens. Even the wolves, I think, are risky, but instead he does go in there just like we see, and that's how you play that. When you know, when you have the info, That's how you got to play it.
Yeah, I think that's a good heads-up play from Clans. Both teams should have full knowledge of this development for level 1, where they're trading sides of the map, both north and south, rather than like top end versus bottom end for red versus blue side. But this is a good answer from Clans. If he's gonna take a lot of damage, but he should know that he's safe to do this. And this is what I wanted to mention about Kraydon. He actually might fall behind here because there's such an experience advantage you can get off of doing an early Raptor camp if you can actually complete it. Okay, so he only steals a little bit away. So it changes my point a little bit. But that is too small little experience lead that he has now over Kraydon, because Kraydon didn't touch the Raptor camp. So we'll have to see if that makes difference for these early rotations for the junglers. But bottom side, this is now a double buff Jarvan, level 3 already here, and there's no vision in that river.
But here comes the attack. All the damage there onto Fidix. The knockup is flashed. James manages to make it out, as does Fidix. Decent attempt here, but both teams come away with very little.
So it's exhaust in total. It's exhaust from Mr. PBH, trade for James's flash. I think in favor of Stanford overall.
Yeah.
Because if James doesn't have flash, he can't aggress from Toast's plays as much, right? He can't use it offensively, but he also doesn't have it defensive in case Jarvan returns. Speaking of Jarvan, they might cross paths in the jungle here, or he could just come right back down. Luckily, they have a ward in the river, so they're going to see that.
Oh, and there it is, and they back off immediately. I think they did almost want to go in on that wave, but right now they're staying back a little bit. They have full vision, but we need to talk here. Carlton Dank still pushing against the Gnar. Swish taking a ton of damage here.
Yeah, he's going to miss out on a lot unless he uses that teleport, which you would imagine he would. There's no reason you wouldn't. You don't want to miss this wave. That's a little aggressive, though.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I've done that a couple times myself, and if enemy top laners are good enough, it will hurt you so bad. He does manage to make it out. Not too much damage there on completing the teleport. But Carlton Danks, on the other hand, looks to be missing some hit points. And Dolce, wow. This matchup is not going how I thought it would.
Yeah, you can see Soul Rush was pushed in early, but now he's been able to return that. You can see he's up still 2 consumables, and that's doing work for Utah to have that pressure in the mid lane. It actually allowed Kraydon, while Clans was sitting bottom lane in vision, Kraydon stole away most of the Wolf camp, giving himself a little bit more of a return in that experience advantage. He's up about a half a level now over Clans, and that'll be really important because Jarvan does really well early, but he does even better when he hits level 6.
Yeah.
Whereas Olaf is pretty much the same champion. Even with his ultimate, he's just a little bit faster and harder to stop, right?
And
so
he gets a little bit more damage now. They changed how that works.
But
this is huge.
This is what it allows him to do. He's got that level 4. He's got the extra advantage. Clans has to have a worse base timer, and because the RD was able to come back with a completed jungle item, essentially, then they can get an Infernal Dragon Jaw Dre at only 5 minutes. That means we might be seeing up to 4 or even 5 Elemental Dragons this game.
I like that a lot, because the more Elemental Drakes you get, the more powerful those Elder Drakes are going to become.
Yes.
So Utah already planning for that late game. They know that they need some answer to it because Carlton Danks is on the Urgot, because Ezreal scales, because Zoe becomes an absolute terror later on in the game. They already have it ready. And another really interesting thing, one of the reasons why Olaf is such a good jungler, that passive, the more hit points he's missing, the faster he attacks. I don't know if everybody was catching that, but he was swinging axes like a madman against that dragon.
Yeah, Swish should know that Clans is here because the control ward was just put down. Level 6 means it's unlikely he would fall anyway. Clans is only level 4.
Yeah, he is going to go ahead and throw that. In addition to that, he is in Mega Gnar almost. Ooh. Looks like the Ignite is ticking onto Mr. PBH. Does he have enough? He manages to live probably single-digit hit points right there. Wow.
Yeah, the heal was used by Fidix, who's going to be alone under turret. But I like this rotation from Dolce Pooncake. He's got Redemption, too, to maybe make this even more aggressive.
Ooh.
Close.
Sleepy Trouble Bubble does get that extended range over terrain. And that's what hits the minion. But Toast and James doing pretty well here.
Ooh, they might be actually looking for some cheese in the bottom lane, too. They're out of vision. And the base timer could be better for them. They're sacrificing the better base timing to maybe look for some cheese.
Oh,
They do
man.
get the Zenith Blade into the stun.
There it is, and there's the slow from the E, like you said, forcing Fidix's flash. That now puts them at summoner advantage on bot.
Yes.
Nope, I lied, because Mr. PBH still has everything.
He does. But when you're fall behind, remember, Mr. PBH is now level 4. He barely makes it back into lane, and he'll get a little bit more experience because he's here solo for a little bit. But this is a better base timing for James, for Toast. They'll be able to show back up and remain in advantage. You can see that the CS numbers are already in James's favor by a significant margin. And now that Fidix doesn't have Flash, and level 6s will come through, what the heck can Fidix do? He's an Ezreal, Arcane Shift. As soon as you're down, as soon as you use that spell at all, you can bet that James and Toast will ult you immediately.
Oh, yeah. And that's the scary thing about playing Ezreal, is you need to know exactly how to use that Arcane Shift. The moment you think you're safe, oh, wow, speaking of safe, Soul Rush takes a huge chunk there. But the moment you think you're safe on Ezreal to use that spell, someone shows up. And so it's got it. All this game sense is just key when playing that champion.
Yeah, and this is that plan from University of Utah. You can tell because Kraydon's sneaking into the lane. There's no vision on that second brush. You can see he is here unbeknownst to Stanford, but you mentioned game knowledge, Shuhadre. This is Clans playing down to that bottom side too. If there's a Leona, what does she do? She fights. She goes in. It's a no-duh situation that you need to have Clans down there so that he's ready. But speaking of being ready,
looks like Soul Rush even roams down here. They may have caught vision, and there is a ward thrown by Fidix.
Yeah.
And, you know, good, like we said, game sense from them, knowing that that might be happening. Well played. Fidix and Mr. PBH going to stay safe for the first little bit of this. But now, like we already talked about, James is ahead in the CS. I wonder if that's impacting the gold, because Fidix does have the Kleptomancy. We can see a couple of, maybe the, would you take Biscuit delivery on the Ezreal?
Yeah,
Okay.
You do take Biscuits. There's not really better options in that tree unless you're wanting to go Dematerializer or something
But
like that.
you already have that on Karma, so
Yeah,
I don't
no
think
need.
you should take both.
It also increases your mana pool, so it kind of does some synergy there with the tier builds.
Yeah.
Okay, so the bottom lane's still looking to fight, right? Toast and James can engage at will, essentially. It's very difficult for them not to get on top of you if they want to do so. But Jarvan's still waiting on that bottom side of the map. Ooh, that was weird on the visual bug. I didn't realize he was recalling it. Didn't actually.
Yeah,
happen.
I didn't see it
But
either,
he's
he
going to
makes it
return.
back.
That means he's heading top lane based on his movements now. And if he's doing so, that means Carlton Danks is calling for. Ooh, this is teleport.
Fidix goes down for first blood to James, and now Dolce, Boomcake, and Mr. PBH are in, as is Carlton Danks, and there's the ultimate onto James. The suppression is there, and the kill goes back over. Swish now taking a lot of damage. He jumps forward. He is now Mega Gnar, gets the stun into the wall, gets a good wall up, and the last auto attack, Mr. PBH is going to go down. Toast and Swish, another Zenith Blade. Flash from Carlton Danks, damage there onto Toast. He dodges out the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, but he needs to be really careful. Carlton Danks can use, oh wow, dodging out the the Q there. Carlton Danks helps secure the kill for Dolce Pooncakes.
Orianna.
Now Orianna is here. Soul Rush has the ult, does manage to kill Carlton Danks, and now the fight is going to go against Dolce. Flash picked up and used. Clans just barely making it down here. He decides to go in, flashes to get the knockup. Damage is there. He ults down onto Soul Rush. Clans now is probably going to die to Swish. This fight is insane. I can't even get all the words out. Swish is now in a lot of trouble. He gets the new rune to kind of save him a little bit, dodges out the last bits of damage. Are we done with this fight yet, Superman?
Oh, I think so. I don't think Dolce wants to stick around any longer than that. That lasted so long
my
that
God.
Fidix not only ults from base, but gets back down to continue the fight even after his ultimate hadn't made it there from base. So Fidix dies at the front end, makes it back through, and participates at the end. And in total, that was 0-0 before all of that. Now it's 4-3. We just had 7 total deaths. Meanwhile, while it was 9 members who showed up bottom lane, 1 person never showed, and that's Kraydon because he spent an entire duration just soloing out Herald, meaning not only do the kills go in favor of University of Utah, they got the first blood too, but they also get the Herald, which hopefully will translate into first brick, Jadre.
Yeah, and in addition to that, they've already got the lane push right here because James and Toast are doing really, really well. They got the kill. They got the extra gold. They have the pressure because Leona is a fighter. And so they're going to push up and get themselves another Drake, I think, as well.
They could. It looks like the vision's there for both teams in the river, so they should have vision to see that this is contestable. It looks like Zoli has the lane pressure, though. Olaf could be in a bad position right here.
Yeah,
Plus,
I think he could.
Stanford and Utah are kind of at a standstill in the bottom end here to answer one way or the other. That's why Kraydon has to play down towards this bottom side of the map because they have slight pressure with those ultimates coming off tool down here for University of Utah. Plus, the minions are going to be pushing up just a little bit more. They have to clear out vision before they start this dragon, though, and they have to be certain that they're able to take the fight because this is still a close game.
All right, so there's the engage. 4 crowd control spells, and the root does manage to go onto Fidix as well, and in goes Kraydon getting another kill. That is what they needed, and now they can probably take this turret, even without the buff there from the Rift Herald, because Dolce is nowhere in any circumstance to come down. Solo gold over to James.
Ooh,
no,
I like that.
They got the 100 global gold, but the 650 over for first brick, as you call it, on Tavares.
Yeah, that's really huge because you don't want to be sitting at the pickaxe and recurve bow for very long because you'll actually swap over your adaptive damage from your runes if you buy the blasting wand while you're building towards Rageblade. So giving the extra boost of gold there will mean that he doesn't have to take that pit stop and doesn't have to wait too long to complete that item. Should be able to do it just here. They're going to recall. That's the second Elemental Dragon. We're only 13.5 minutes into this first game of our best of 3 here, Jihadre. I'm excited to see this developing for University of Utah because they are playing to those strengths. What did I say about the bottom lane? Explosive. Those ultimates, when they're there, Karma is basically waiting to die, right? That's how it goes. You don't go on the Ezreal. What did they just do there? They went on the Karma. Absolutely delete her out, and then it's just Ezreal alone under turret. Jarvan too far away, and they bring in the jungler. Dive it out. That's first brick. Even more kills on the bottom side of the map, and they donate that local gold all over to James. Now he's got that completed item.
To further that point, correct me if I'm wrong, but if Karma uses her E, that courage, on herself, she doesn't proc Ardent Sensor, correct?
That is correct. And so she cannot have the bonus attack speed and non-hit damage.
So even more reason for Utah to go directly for Karma. The moment Karma is dead, just think about how much help Fidix loses. It's insane.
Fidix or anyone else, for that matter, right? She's the one support, the one shielder on the team. And if she's gone, there's not that movement speed, there's not the additional shielding and effective health pool that brings.
The ward just expired in that brush.
Yes, it did. And you've got so many members. The flash from James!
He nails it, and the follow-up with the ultimate from Toast. They're going to go in onto Mr. PBH now, and that is another immediate 2 kills. The ultimates, the vision, the plays. Utah putting it 8-3 in their own favor.
I thought Kraydon was actually spamming an emote there for a second because he was shaking back and forth the champion model. But it's going to be Shelly being spawned here. This is going to be a very quick second outer turret. This is on the top side of the map. First one fell on the bottom end, and it was James and Toast and their aggression, their power play on the bottom end of the map that got them that first turret. This is going to be a second one. They could keep pushing for a little bit, too, because they have the pressure up here. You can see that Jarvan's been spotted out, so they're going to abandon Shelly. She'll put a little bit more damage down onto that turret, but overall, they get now their second turret. Oh, more diving!
And immediate deletion. Toast. What a man here. Just diving, throwing out that Zenith Blade, getting the crowd control. Everything is working here for University of Utah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pick composition that team fights pretty dang well, and it only has to be a couple, maybe even 3 of them at best to get any of these picks to happen. Ooh, this is an engagement, maybe.
So the stun from Leona, all the damage here. James deals so much to clans. It's still early. Jarvan is squishy in the earlier parts of the game. And what are you going to do to these guys? There were 4 of them underneath that turret. A little too much, I think, coming out of clans, but they do manage to clear the wave. Will it be for naught?
I think it is. I mean, you've got James with the full passive stacked up. If you fight them right now, if he doesn't get bursted out, he kills all of you, right? That's what he can do.
Speaking of the burst, there it is. The turret does end up going down. That is the third and final outer turret for Stanford. And University of Utah pretty far ahead here. 6,000 gold, only 16 minutes in the game.
Yeah, 6,000 gold, and it's pretty well spread out. A lot of it is on that 80 carry, right? James with the local gold from turrets and whatnot, 4 assists too. But you can see 2 kills with pretty much everybody. Only Leona, who's been involved in all but 1 of the kills total, has 2 kills. So I don't see a way back in this for Stanford short of full-on throws from University of Utah, because when you have this level of a gold advantage this early, you reinvest that into vision, Jihadra. You buy those control wards. You can see 3 already in the inventory of Toast. He's going to be walking around making sure that there's 0 vision in those otherwise no man's land areas, the river and the like, for Stanford. You don't want them being able to leave their turrets, essentially, and then you just get to decide which turret do we want to dive, right?
Yeah.
And if they leave those turrets, they get caught out in their rotations. You have the tools to do that, and you will continue to, if you're University of Utah, pick off enemy members in their rotations and translate those into more and more turrets, more of those neutral objectives. You can see 1.5 minutes from now, the 3rd Elemental Dragon will be spawning on Summoner's Rift.
That is going to be another go button for the University of Utah, but so is that. The ultimate's chained again. The trouble bubble does stop Leona for a moment, but Toast just goes in and manages to secure yet another kill. This guy, 2-1-7, 9 out of 10 kill participation. I want to say he's the carry this game.
I mean, they did seem to have a strategy built around this Leona, right? They pick it. It's not one of those highly contestable support picks, but they're ready to go for it. And you can see what happened. Zoe left the turret. What happened? She died. I just said it a minute ago, Jihadra. You can't leave your turrets right now if you're Stanford without the vision put in place. They don't have the vision. They step beyond the turret. Zoe falls, and then there's extra aggression. They try and take that next objective, which is going to be that tier 2 mid. The pings come through. They're going to reset here with 40 seconds before that dragon comes through. It's just enough time to recall the base, purchase items, get a couple more wards, whatever you need to feel comfortable to pick up that 3rd now elemental dragon on the Rift.
You even get Gnar pushing in the bot side. Swish has been doing really well, kind of diverting a little bit of attention. So he forces Carlton Dangs to go down there and shove that wave back. And you send him top again to just keep that kind of juggling act where there will always be a lane in your favor. The moment you have it pushing toward the enemy base, then you leave it and you go somewhere else to continue that. Make sure your team has support and ability to split on the map. He's continuing that back up on the top side. Teleport is available. I don't think they saw Kraydon get into that rush. But Mr. PBH is going to get hit with the ultimate from Orianna, and then Toast secures another one. This is actually looking really interesting. Mr. PBH doing a Jinjin James cosplay.
Yeah, I mean, it's that karma that just can't do anything if you're this far behind. That's just what the champion is built for, is almost a win more, right? Where if you're really strong, you speed people up. They are able to chase people down and get additional kills. If you're behind, you cannot get caught out of position. You have no escape tools short of your shielding, but if you're locked in one single spot, if you're stunned, if you're rooted, speeding up your move speed does nothing for you, Jihadra. So, let's take a look. What can Stanford do? This is about it. They can try and wave clear, try and, while the cooldowns aren't there. Speaking of cooldowns.
Toast.
Oh,
just
man.
setting up all of the things, all of the plays. Now, James is caught out of position, though. They go back in. Clans goes down with, I guess not. James doing the best bait I've seen this tournament. Teleports are coming in from the top laners now. Swish is in Mega Gnar. He gets the ultimate and the W and the Q all on the Dolce Pooncake. Now Toast is taking frontline damage. Kraydon going to get shielded by Orianna. Mr. PBH throws down into the powered Q. Carlton Danks flashes forward. He's probably going to clean up the kills himself. He does get a double, but James manages to take him down, gets his own ult down onto Fidix, forcing his flash. James is dealing so much.
Whoa.
And then the ultimate from Orianna takes a kill. James manages to pick up Fidix. Mr. PBH and Clans only 2 alive, and Clans just because he's already respawned. Sorry about the cough there, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. I just got too excited. I couldn't even hold myself together. Now, yeah, this is not a good spot for Stanford. You already talked about it. What can they do? Just try. That's all they can, and right now it is not looking possible.
Yeah, it's the wave clear that you have to do, and that's about all you have. Let's take a look at how that fight started. It was Leona looking for a flank engage, but not ready. Her team was not ready to follow it up. You could see that Sleepy Bubble Trouble, that zone is really, really strong. And then here you go. With the minions dying, that means we're ready to engage. Jarvan, though, half health already. He's not able to do much. But it's kind of a split fight, Jihadre.
Yeah, right
Can't
here.
really focus this down. You see, Gnar comes in, has Mega, says, Pooncake, I've got your number, but doesn't have the damage to actually take her all the way out. 100 health, she escapes with that flash. And then Toast is like, ooh, ouch, I'm actually a little far out here. Kraydon has to flash away. That's 2 flashes defensively for Utah. Things are kind of hairy here as Carlton says, you guys flash? You know, I like that spell too. Watch me do it too. Watch me, gets a double kill for himself. But now, there's no more threat. James says, also the Borda got red buff. That's on hit Varus, right? He's got so much damage. But meanwhile, back on live, they're diving another turret, Jihadre.
No deaths for Utah on that one, but it was actually just more. They're still trying to fight. Stanford are trying to engage as opposed to just do the wave clear. You've got Urgot and Ezreal and Karma. Your wave clear is sick. I don't think there's a reason to try and engage on these guys, especially when it was only a 3v4. I think that Stanford is just getting a little too ahead of themselves here. They cannot stop it, which is weird because the only Drake that Utah doesn't have is a mountain, but they've killed more turrets than anything else on the map. Like,
yeah.
Percentage-wise, comparatively, you can continue killing champions all game, but there are only so many turrets, and they're already 4 out of 11 down.
Yeah, 4 out of 11. There's not many still defending their base. Ooh, this could be... Ooh. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
we're
take
good.
a look at that fight that we almost missed in the top lane that was happening on live when we were talking about the last replay. Okay, here's how it went. Clans seems to be half health no matter what, but nice ultimate into comboed ultimates. Where's going to be that shockwave from the Orianna? She actually uses it late. A little bit of a mistake there, but
Unlucky.
enough damage comes through from James. Great choice there. Now they're setting up their Baron. 24 minutes. We're a minute past your favorite mark of the game, Jihadre. But another catch onto the Karma. This is going to be probably another kill instantly.
Goes down. Just the amount of crowd control there. I think it goes up to like 6-7 seconds, but here we go again. Another chain of corruption on to Carlton Danks. James is dominating. Swish goes Mega. They got vision priority on the Baron as well. I think that they might take it here.
I still think it's a little risky to try for this. You can have a lot of burst that'll come through from Jarvan, who does have Smite, and then, of course, Dolce Pooncake can put a lot of damage here, too. So this is, I say, as close to a 50-50, even with the level lead for Kraydon.
Oh,
you
my
think you have
gosh,
to turn
the
it
Toast.
instantly.
Okay, here we go. Clans is now ignited. He ults on the Toast. Red team steals the Baron with a Q from Zoe. It doesn't matter, though, because everyone else is going to die. Stanford losing 3 members total, with the Urgot going down a little bit earlier.
Let's see how exactly it got stolen, Jihadre, because I was just talking about that. You got Dolce Pooncake and you've got Clans who can put a lot of burst down. Watch this Q on the top end of your screen, ladies and gentlemen, all fellow gamers. Watch this crazy steal. 2,000 health, 1,500, and that's going to be the Q hits with an auto attack.
No, it was the bubble. It was the Sleepy Trouble bubble.
Her passive damage getting hit there. But Baron or not, the damage is there. Speaking of damage,
everyone is dying here. Toast gets engaged on. He makes it through. Soul Rush takes a hit. Dolce Pooncake picks that one up. Mr. PBH dead again, Superman. Carlton Danks caught out probably by the ultimate from James. Just there is no stopping this team. Even with the Baron buff, with the buff it recently got, they are still unable to put down the damage and kill more than one member of the University of Utah squad. And that is not good news for Stanford. Their match record is in complete and total jeopardy.
Yeah, it is. I mean, neither one of these teams wants to drop their first match. This could be an Infernal getting stolen away, though. Kraydon is the jungler, and he is close. Smite on cooldown for a few more seconds, though. He's going to run straight at them. He steals it away.
The steal for Steel is there. Vidix goes down first. Clans goes down second. Kraydon attacking so quick with the percent missing health that he's got. That was terrifying.
Yeah.
Did you see how fast that guy was running?
Yep, he gets the bonus movement speed from Ragnarok, from his ability.
Righteous
Yeah,
Glory.
it's the Righteous Glory plus the Ragnarok gives you a ton of bonus. Oh, yes, and he has Predator. That's insane movement speed.
Oh.
Ooh, the flash forward, though.
Dolce does have to go golden, immediately gets stunned, and does go down. James, now legendary, the star player for the University of Utah, doing exactly that. 11-1-11 on this Varus. A great pick we can see here, despite the Xayah being banned, able to put the game in his backpack and carry it.
Indeed, and I like the revenge there. He runs at them with a vengeance and gets the steal with the smite.
Oh
He
my
says,
gosh.
you may have taken the Baron, but I'm not letting you take a single dragon this game. It was just a fluke over there on the top side of the map. So, the split push is working just fine. They've only dropped 6 total deaths, 27-6 in kills. That's a 12,000 gold lead. Will this be a fight?
Here we go.
Oh,
No.
why wouldn't you go for
And
it?
now he does go in. Swish is there now. Swish gonna flash forward, get the Gnar against the inhibitor. It's the ultimate from Leona is there. James Legendary, they're gonna take this turret now. Flash forward from Phoenix. He says, well, I mean, what else am I gonna do? No damage coming out of the Q from Dolce Pooncake. That Paddle Star, not quite enough range, but the flash forward from Toast. The cleanse burned immediately. Drowsy now onto Toast, trying to get the damage. Dolce Pooncake takes a massive chunk from Soul Rush, and it doesn't matter. This is going to be the end of the game. University of Utah, pretty convincing here in game number 1. Do they lose another one? Nope, they're going to get another one. An ace now to end the game on, oh, wait a minute. No, those minions spawned and stopped. Yeah, it is. It's the end of the game. Soul Rush flashing into the fountain just to do it. Amazing showing out of the University of Utah.
Yeah, I mean, if you can win in 28.5 minutes, only getting the Baron stolen away, dropping 6 kills, that's pretty dang good. They never lost a single turret. University of Utah, 15,000 gold lead. That's almost 2,000 gold. Like, that's almost 500 gold accruing per minute, right?
That's
like,
a lot.
That is so much gold. So that's kind of a convincing showing in game 1 here. This is a best of 3 between University of Utah and Stanford. We'll talk more about how that game 1 went after a short break to give these guys time to get ready for game 2. PACG returns with more League of Legends action after a short break. Welcome back, fellow gamers. We're about to get into Champion Select for Game 2 between Stanford University and University of Utah. If you have been watching thus far, you just saw a convincing match, right? That was a blowout in favor of University of Utah. 15,000 gold lead short of 30 minutes with 4 Elemental Drakes. They did get the stolen Baron, right?
Yeah,
stolen away from them.
If we're calculating perfect game minus kills,
yeah,
that was the
total.
Only thing. So 6 deaths and a Baron stolen, but everything else from that game from Utah was pretty immaculate.
Yeah, it was really strong, and it was off that Leona cheese pick, I want to say. Really smart, right? There was a lot of support bands that came through, and then the Karma pick, and then you pick the Leona and you say, we're just going to engage on you. And interestingly enough, what it looked like to me was Stanford's jungler gets baited at Clans is like, okay, I know that Leona's I don't do anything unless I'm going in on you. So why don't I just play around bot side, wait for that to happen, and turn things around? But every time that they went in, it was because they had the vision. Utah has the vision to know that Jarvan's not in range to show up. He was here, they wait, he leaves, then they fight, right? And it's just they get the nice engages on those short little windows because they set the vision up for themselves. Now, I want to talk about how, yes, things snowballed crazily from bottom lane, and it was kind of baiting Clans to be there. I think if Stanford wants to bring out a win in Game 2 here, they have to send Clans to the solo lanes.
Yes.
Say, even if we're going to lose bottom lane, and even if we're going to lose it hard, don't go bottom lane. It's just not worth your time.
Yeah, and that's what you have to do. Carlton Danks and Dolce Pooncake are your main carries. We've seen Fiddix do well, but never amazingly. But speaking of that,
yeah, let's see if any adaptations come through with the draft. This is what was last game. We'll now clear that out and get on your screen what should come through for Game 2. These are correct bands. We'll clear out those picks in just a moment. But you could see, in terms of the names are swapped, but when you give Carlton Danks that Urgot, and he's actually winning lane. He sent Gnar back a few times, right?
Yes.
In just 1v1. He's winning lane top, play to that strength. This is, for all you junglers out there, this applies to solo queue too, where if you have a winning lane, return there, and return there often, even if it feels like you might be wasting time from time to time. Once again, EULCS casting there. Then you just have to keep doing it. You have to. You play to your advantages, play to your strengths. Don't try and make up for weaknesses because it's too high risk to make up for what is already a deficit instead of reinvesting into your winning lane. So if Carlton Danks and Dolce Pooncake are actually winning their lanes, and they were at the very beginning there for the first while of lane phase, a good portion of laning phase, Carlton Danks and Dolce Pooncake winning, then I think you have to have them have additional pressure from that jungle, know that you're losing bottom lane, give that up. So the bans come through, though. They're looking pretty much the same. Utah bans exactly the same. Stanford bans Casio instead of the Caitlyn, and Varus comes through
instead of the Zac.
Yeah, but that means they're going to steal away on blue side here, the one they didn't ban, which is going to be that Caitlyn.
And I think that that's going to be a little bit better for Stanford. Caitlyn is going to have so much more early presence in the lane. She's got the wave clear. She's got the bonus damage with the headshots. I think that it's a better pick. Not quite as safe as Ezreal, but will have a little bit better shove. And that's what you need to do because James is the star player for the University of Utah. That's where they put all of their attention as well. We talked about how Clans tried to gank for bot lane, but Kraydon practically lived in the bottom half of the map. And you know, with Toast and James setting him up, they did really, really well. So more damage means you're not underneath your turret, which means you can get the vision out and help your own jungler. But these lock-ins look pretty good if we're looking at Utah's statistics. Exactly.
Yeah, they're comfort picks. You've seen these come through a ton. You mentioned the Caitlyn pick. She's going to have the extra range, the headshots, the lane dominance, right? 8.4 Tristana late game, right? So 8.3 Tristana's free, 8.4 even more, 8.5 the patch that's live. It's now going to be the Caitlyn that will thrive. So if you're watching here for Game 2, Stanford choosing that pick does a lot for them. They should be able to get to Taric here. Yes, in the bottom lane for Mr. PBH. We talk about comfort picks here, Juhadre. This is Freelo type comfort here for Stanford. I'm excited for them. And if Dolce Pooncake can get his comfort that has not been banned out too, I've been valid for Carlton Danks, right? Those 2 solo lane picks we've talked about, it's the Kassadin and the Urgot. Kassadin comes through. Okay, things are looking really good for Stanford fans here. You should be feeling so good if you're Stanford with the draft so far.
So the only thing I have is, like we said, we talked about the comfort of Swish and Kraton on these champions, and we see the sub in with Kenya in the mid lane. I think that they did that on purpose. They leave Kassadin available. Nice lock in here for James. A little more, just random scary stuff that they're just going to win with, hopefully, if you're a Utah fan. But Kenya is more of the fighter type mid laner. He's going to pick something that will do well into the Kassadin, where Soul Rush got the Orianna and has the more roaming style. I think that Utah planned that. They want to see the Kassadin. There is the Urgot ban. They don't want to fight that again. But why Ashe?
I think it's because she's one of the highest range AD carries that is remaining with engage potential, right? Varus banned out. His R is an engage. Ashe Ultimate does similar things. I think this might be them practicing putting a little bit more shot calling onto James. Where if he's the main point of engage, then that puts a little bit more pressure on him. Their highest rated player, though, so maybe playing more to their strengths in macro style, in like the coaching behaviors here, making James more of that shot caller in game. The Ashe should do fine into Caitlyn, too. She struggles against ganks a little bit more.
Yeah.
But she scales extremely well.
So then to help with that susceptibility to tank or ganks, I was going to say Tom Kench, but Thresh does a decent job at that as well.
I actually don't like the Thresh as much. It's really aggressive in a similar vein to that of Leona, which was banned out, so it's okay for the laning phase. It'll come back up, guys. It wasn't a fake pick. The Thresh has come through. But I don't like it as much for peeling Ashe. But this looks to be a similar strategy then for Utah as game 1, because they were like, wait, peel? What? Why would we peel if they're dead, right? Yeah. We just engage on them and kill them. Why would you need to peel for an AD carry if there's no one to peel off? So, I like that choice. But speaking of having to peel people off, Kassadin and Jax, rip your dead Ashe. Is gonna get Carlton spanked, man. Like, I'm excited for this. For Stanford, they're doing just fine with this draft. I think they're getting the tools that they need to be able to answer what Utah's trying to build for themselves.
So now I'm actually interested because Carlton played the Jax, but it's also a decent jungle pick. So do you think that that is in the top lane for Carlton Danks, or do you think Clans is trying to pick that one up with his Skarner gone and Zach banned away? We know that he plays Sejuani, so maybe he'll lock that one in.
It's possible. I think the Jax is a flex pick, top or jungler. It can be either. Okay, so now it's pretty. Well, actually, it could be either.
Okay.
But it's far more likely than not going to be Jax jungle with the Maokai top, I think.
Yeah, I think that is a little bit better because the ganking power of the Jax, I think, is slightly better than Maokai. You can get in more ways, like you can ward hop, you can jump to your minions. If you're Jax, you can jump to an ally. Whereas Maokai, his only real way in is with the ultimate or the W on an enemy.
Yes. Oh, I like this pick. Okay, so the one thing I wanted to start to talk about is how Utah drafted a full AD composition so far. I mean, Thresh is kind of hybrid damage, it's fine.
Yeah.
But it's a support. He's not building damage. They need some serious burst potential out of mid lane. I think while this doesn't actually do that, it's an AP. It is a magic damage pick, the Victor. But Kenya here instead of Soul Rush. What did we see from Kenya the last time when he played Victor? Victory, that's true. Good one, Jadre. But I'm more talking, this guy built the Bruiser build. Now, it's not going to be full-on damage AP front-end burst, Victor, but it's I am spamming spells at you while staying healthy, Victor. I like that choice here because although it doesn't mean that he's a high burst magic damage threat, he makes the fights last long enough that if they can lock people down, which you do, you have Jarvan, Cataclysm into Gnar against that wall. If you can lock people down, Victor does really, really well keeping them locked down. He's a little bit more of that win more team fight, chase you down, which what better to chase you down with than an AD carry that already slows you with their auto attacks. James here on the Ashe should do just fine, if not immediately bursted by the assassination potential that can come through from 3 melees that can jump right on top of you. That's the Kassadin, that's the Jax, and the Maokai. Man, I mean, Stanford, They're down 1 game, but they're going to their mascot in the top lane to bring them a victory for game 2. That's the hope here for Stanford. The tree in the top lane can jump right on top of whichever priority target they want to go for.
What do you mean their mascot?
The trees, man.
Is it the trees?
Yeah. I mean, they don't have an official mascot.
So you just called out the most random.
I don't go to Stanford. I don't know all the history behind it. I just know that they're the kind of the trees.
They're the trees.
For whatever reason.
Seems legit, man.
Somebody in Twitch chat, let us know. Why are they the trees? Or am I completely wrong about that?
No, I'm fine with it. I just thought it was funny that you're like, they go into the mascot on the top side. They don't have a mascot.
Yeah, not really, but.
But I think you're right. Their peel and engage from Stanford is huge.
Yes.
But they had good engage last game, too. So I won. I mean, it was decent, right? You had the Jarvan. It didn't work out. You had the Urgot. You can get in there with the Disdain. You can get the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. You can get the slows from Karma. Those kind of things. But now they have real full-on engage. And so I wonder if it is going to be the answer against Utah.
I think the problem for Stanford last game, one, the Leona just did work.
Yeah.
But more importantly, she was able to do work that was unanswered because Clans was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. He had the wrong idea, whether that was the team shot calling to that end or if it was just Clans himself or just the wrong strategy or them not understanding how to play this. If you're going to lose bottom lane, all other things aside, then don't try and change that. It's really hard to do. So don't spend all your time and effort in the bottom lane unless you already have a winning lane. Play to your winning lane. So, for example, if you have a free engage tool, the Twisting Nether, where you can get Carlton to just root this Gnar, especially if he's in mini form and can't really escape very well, then bring Clans up there, lock him down even more, and play to your strength, your really strong lanes, rather than trying to turn around lanes that are either losing matchups or likely to lose like at level 6 or at some point. Don't try and like next level things.
Yeah.
Just play to your strengths and you should do just fine. They've drafted a composition here that is comfortable. Yeah. Very comfortable, and the team fighting here is insane. You have Cosmic Radiance from Taric, you have Dolce Poonkick on an assassin that, if invulnerable, even if not, will probably delete someone on the back side, right? So, and you've got a beefy front line that deals damage too. I think Stanford has drafted an amazing composition that should do fine, especially mid to late game. And so as long as Clans doesn't get baited into wasting time like he did in Game 1 by Utah's composition and where they're trying to make their pressure happen, I think Stanford should do just fine here in Game 2.
No, I agree with you entirely. They did draft very, very well. And like you said, the comfort picks. Though I think we have actually seen Carlton on the Maokai once at least as well. So all of these things we've seen come out of them. And then the unfamiliarity, we assume, from James on the Ashe. That's weird. The Thresh hasn't been seen in a long time. So maybe that might be that answer too. They're maybe not quite as comfortable, even though their top side of the map is definitely that.
I think what Utah has drafted here is the go button bottom lane once again. We'll have to see how it comes out. It's the post level 6, just say ready, set, kill him, right? See champion, kill champion. That's their strategy. But here we are on to Summoner's Rift. This is Stanford versus Utah in their best of 3. Game 2, first game went in favor of University of Utah. This could be match going over to Utah if they can take the win here. Summoner's Rift is the map. I'm excited for this one, Juhadre, because these are 2 undefeated match score teams. Utah now 7-0 game score. Stanford 6-3 game score. But things could turn around here with the comfortable composition Stanford has drafted for themselves.
It definitely can. And something interesting I've seen in Mr. PBH's inventory both games is that minion dematerializer. Do you think that that's still trying to get rid of the Baron minion thing because that is a really easy counter? Or is it because they really do understand that James and Toast here are very, very strong and wanting to be able to push the lane?
Well, essentially what Utah's doing is, Game 1, they had Leona and Varus. 2 people who say, do we have spells? If yes, flowchart, kill them. No questions asked, right? Ashe kind of does similar things, can burst you out. Thresh isn't Leona, but he's very good at either setting up or following up engages. So This is some cheese in the bottom lane, though. You can see Toast has Ignite, but there's 3 members here.
The flash forward to get the Dazzle. Flash away. Flash followed by Clans. Summoner heal is used. Flay throws them off. Toast and James do make it out. But 2 summoner spells for 2.
You know, this is interesting because this opens up Kraydon to try and maybe look for an invade. He's unhealthy, but now that he knows that Clans is a little behind, he might be able to cheese him out. But more importantly, because Clans started bottom side and they got the spells, the push here from mid lane means bottom lane's free to even play as though they have summoner spells, and Kenya's here to help. Kraydon 200 health. Maokai's coming close to you. This is really risky now.
Yeah,
too long.
I think they have to back out. Kraydon does jump into the Raptor Pit, which we talk about all the time. Not a very wise choice on the Jarvan. Just takes so much damage. Forces him back. You know, he used both stacks of that refillable potion. He's just unable to make that invade work.
Yeah, I would have liked to see Jarvan go red. Then he sees the cheese happen bottom lane, go red into enemy Gromp, and then try and either take away or cheese at the blue, because I had vision there. But it's going to be a little bit of a mix-up. Means that Clans is actually ahead here. He did use his flash bottom lane, so his gank potential is not actually as potent as Kraydon should be until he has that spell back up. But he's playing towards the bot side once again. This I actually agree with. I mentioned last time you don't want to play towards the bot side, but he's in full control right now. He sees that Kraydon is still level 2, doesn't have blue buff, doesn't have lane priority. Thresh will be able to sneak through because they're pushed their turret, but Tark's answering too. Kraydon is here, level 3 finally, but half health.
So Clans throws in the stun, a lot of auto attacks. That's a flash from Kraydon. Now the knockup does not land, but the Ignite does. First blood does go over to Clans, but immediately he is taken back down by James.
Oh man, and bad news that the double buffs had just expired, so only the blue buff transfers over to James. That's going to be first blood, though, for Clans. But James now with the lead on Ashe, and blue buff means additional poke in that lane. If you've never played against a blue buff Ashe early, which hopefully you never have to,
yeah, right.
But she just gets to spam volley over and over and over again, and when they're critting you, it hurts so bad. So that should give additional pressure now to bottom lane here for Utah to push forward, but still the jungle is in favor of Clans. He's going to be up in gold. When you lose your buffs that you're alive with, right? Kraydon now is set even further behind in the jungle. He's down in overall experience from Clans. He's down in pressure, and it's going to take him that much longer to get to the point where he feels comfortable to be ganking, unless he plays to this bottom side right now with the pressure that Utah has.
Yeah, there is a ward here just where the blast cone would normally be, so he may make it out. No, he does get spotted there. And there is the ping. What was interesting that we just saw was Gnar and Maokai. Those two fighting up there. Swish had advantage for a lot of it, but then Carlton Danks able to get his passive healing off of the minions. He doesn't have Grasp of the Undying, but instead went with the Aftershock trying to deal more damage. And it looked like it worked because he forced Swish back and to use the teleport. But back here on the bottom side, we can, yeah, they just push right up. Utah throwing out those volleys. Blue buff still pretty long here on James. A lot of auto attacks. Mr. PBH going down to half hit points. The volley keeps him there even while he's healing. And yeah, you can't push in this lane with that blue. Oh, ooh, Dolce Pumke goes down to a decent gank here in the mid.
Yeah, for positioning, for you to see the death there, I'd love to see a replay as to how that exactly happened, because you don't normally see the blue team mid laner dying near red team's turret randomly like that. But a fight in the top lane.
That is the ultimate to keep him there. Carlton Danks is still mildly healthy, has to flash. Swish doesn't want to follow it up because that spell is really valuable, but a good disengage from Carlton Danks, able to make that out. But now, here we go. Mr. PBH is going to be slowed. Kraydon just wanted to get them away from the minion wave, help shove.
This is actually really smart. This secures a good base timer for University of Utah by bringing the jungler down there. They can't look for a fight anymore, but it's going to take longer for... Oh, okay, so they're not actually going to make use of it. I think I disagree with this choice. I think if your jungler gives you that extra couple of seconds of a base timer, you should take advantage of it. Unless there's some other strategy you hope to use down here, you have to like hard shove.
Which it doesn't look like they are doing. They're just putting those auto attacks. Dolce sees Kraydon, throws down the ward. He does get knocked up. Only level 5 on Kraydon, but Kenya is on his way. Dolce took a lot of damage, actually, from that Jarvan.
Yep, it's the front-end burst damage that Jarvan can do, even when full tank, even without items. Speaking of Dolce Pooncake, before hitting level 6, he was just level 5. Let's look at how that fight happened in mid lane when he did get caught by the Jarvan that resulted in a kill. Just really good position here. Kraydon forces him to walk as far away as possible, and then through Fog of War, the flash failed. That's going to be why it happened, is the flash over the wall failed, ended up resulting in a kill. So that's just unfortunate to see. Dolce Pooncake gets caught, fail flash.
That feels so bad.
Yeah, it's too bad.
I failed that flash a couple times myself, and it just, it's
I never
devastating. You never have? You have never failed that flash?
Never? Never.
Got it. Awesome. But let me tell you, it doesn't feel good because it's not a hard one to land. Like up here in the top side, there's a really fat wall that you have to be in the exact position.
The Dyrus wall.
The Dyrus wall.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not quite as bad as the Scar Award.
Oh, Matt, do you know what the trick is? There's a snail.
Yeah, there's a snail.
There's a snail on the rock, but let's talk about that in a second. Mr. PBH does not land his stun, but the Ignite does go down.
One more auto attack.
Toast might
you have to auto attack.
And Toast gets it with the Ignite, but James able to stop Fidix from doing anything for a whole second with that enchanted crystal arrow. Now, the death sentence barely doesn't hit. Carlton Danks has Swish underneath the turret. He jumps away. One more hit should do it, but Kraydon is in the wings and actually manages to save him. The pings are out. They know Clans is here. They know that Dolce Pooncake is on the way. Kraydon and Swish going behind enemy lines everywhere. Dolce does get knocked up. He does have the damage and does take down Swish, but Dolce is locked up in the Cataclysm and gives another kill over to Utah. Nice play there, but unfortunate they were at that point.
I like the choice, though, for Kraydon to essentially escort Swish to his death, because Swish will die no matter what. And you know that they're sending Kassadin there. But what else do you know about Kassadin? No flash. Very squishy. You've got red buff on Kraydon. Just lock him down after he uses whatever Rift Walk is necessary to get the kill. Then you turn it around, be a little bit more bonus gold. And yes, you're going to one way or another sacrifice Swish's life, but you can at least turn that into a 1-for-1. Great choice by Utah. Unfortunately, you get caught if you're a Utah fan. But Stanford at least gets a kill here on a Kassadin, right? He's been struggling so far, but now we're post-level 6 Kassadin. Hopefully that means very good things for Dolce Pooncake. Even better if he can complete his Roa as soon as possible.
Now what is really interesting is how many champions we see taking the Fleetfoot, even with its nerf. We can see 3 of them in this game. James took it last game as well. And they're just healing a little bit at a time. Oh, but the junglers might catch each other here. Kraydon sees Clans. He does burn the flash. Toast had already queued up that death sentence, but now they need to be careful because the Scryer's Bloom does spot them. That means Kassadin is on the roam.
It's a good flash, but you don't need to do that if you're playing a little bit smarter. Clans there caught out of position. If you can't get that gank off, don't step into the river if you don't have vision. You don't know where Jarvan is. And imagine even if they're not there. We'll talk about it in a moment.
Speaking of that, now let's see. Fidix is still slow. Mr. PBH gets hit with the death sentence and the knockup. Mr. PBH does land his own ultimate. He is invulnerable, but not anymore. Oh, one more auto attack would have got it, but it is not there. Nice disengage. Good timing on that ultimate. From everybody's ultimates actually were great. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow, the box, the Cosmic Radiance, everything worked out for defense terms for both teams. Now Toast, ooh, there we go.
Yeah, his death sentences are on point. You can see, if you don't have a spell there for Fidix, you're caught. Ooh, this
Speaking
is a fight.
of caught, Clans gets caught in the Cataclysm. They keep it on just long enough. James is not going to go down, and Toast tanking turret doesn't either. Nice juggling of aggro there by the University of Utah team.
Awkward prioritization there from Fidix, though. Oh, the clip there.
Kraydon flashes forward, gets the EQ, but gets dazzled underneath the turret. Mr. PBH, Fidix dodging it out. He only has to survive a little bit longer, but Kenya picks it up with the empowered auto attack. He's flashing
Ooh.
forward for the dazzle. James goes down. Chaos Storm is there to deal a little bit of damage. Toast is really low. Mr. PBH, though, is being followed by that Chaos Storm. One more spell. Kenya flashes forward, unable to cast it. Dolce Pooncake is not, he does pick it up, but not before Kenya takes down Mr. PBH.
Oh my goodness, another long, drawn-out fight there. Dolce Pooncake gets a couple more kills for himself there. Man, this is bad news for Utah. Great news for Stanford, as they're going to, off the back end of that great fight, get an Infernal Dragon for themselves, too. This is not quite as dominating as Game 1's early was for Utah, but into an early win in the bottom lane, into early Infernal here, now for Stanford instead. And Dolce Pooncake is the one to watch. He did fine in lane in Game 1. He was even winning it as Zoe, but with even the Baron steal, he did great things for his team, but they just fell far too behind in gold. Nothing really to speak of beyond that for Game 1. But now into Game 2, you can see the gold is just about even. The leads are still there for this mid lane in favor of Stanford. That's great news.
Oh, but that's not in their favor. James and Toast setting up a play. Fidix way too far ahead with Tarek in the base.
Yeah, I know that feeling as an AD carry. When you just come back to lane to farm off of a fight that had just happened, even if you felt like it went okay, and then you forget. If I'm showing up because of the timing of that fight and my support isn't with me, I might be in trouble because I'm alone, and that's exactly what happened there. Caitlyn gets picked off.
Nice block there. That minion saves Clans from being hit with the death sentence, but both stuns are dodged. Clans just too fast. Toast unable to land that death sentence, but now Cosmic Radiance is burned. They need to leave. They have minions, they have damage. Mr. PBH and Clans have to get out. Now Fidix has joined them. They are a little bit more healthy, but ultimates up for 2 of Utah. Uh-oh, let's see, Carlton Danks. Swish manages to escape. Turret aggro. First turret, I believe, right there for University of Utah. Both of them. Oh, yeah, of course, because they got the bot turret. Wow. Superman,
Yeah,
I need to go to sleep.
Oh, it's totally fine, Giadre. This top lane has been quiet back and forth, other than
Won't be for very long. Kenya goes in, the flash forward. Carlton Danks heals from the passive. Swish is so close to dead, and he almost makes it out. He jumps away, but Dolce Pooncake does manage to land that orb. Kenya gonna get the shield and the movement speed from the Q. A lot of damage. Double kill for Dolce. We can see why he likes this champion.
Yeah, and why his team feels confident when they did it for him. Dolce Pooncake on the cast end, now 5 kills and an assist, and he's pretty much even in CS. Just one wave separates them, and you'll trade a wave for 5 kills, so you're doing just fine. 4 kills, though, for their mid laner.
Here we go. The Dazzle, rather, does stun up Toast, but it is not enough to save the life of Fidix. Kraydon gets a great ultimate onto him. Mr. PBH going to dazzle one more time, but Swish is already back alive. They're going to get another one. Double kill for James there on the back of the double kill from Dolce Pooncake. And of the two players in this game, you want to be getting double kills. Those are the 2, my friend.
Yeah, and they're just going to try and take the Rift Herald off of that fight. But I want to watch that mid lane fight once again that we just saw happen. Because, importantly, watch what Thresh does. He walks in, does get stunned, but off of this, he says, I don't care what's happening in Cataclysm. Let me flay you into my box, Caitlyn. And then Fidix, you think you're getting out? Nah, Death Sentence into Ignite. Let me let James pick you off. And then he just keeps the pressure. Toast here on the Thresh doing work. Man, it's been a pleasure to watch his support play in these 2 games. You can see he's just locking people down for James to kill. So that's working out just perfectly for them. They have the Cataclysm to lock certain people in place, the melees that are necessary, and James says, all right, Toast, what I need from you is while they're locked down, while the front line is locked down, I need you to get me to that back line. Allow me to hit even more than just these tanky frontliners. I want to actually deal damage in these fights, and in order to do so, I need to be hitting squishy champions. Toast says, your wish is my command. I will bring them right into your face.
And fantastic to watch. It is, just like you said, the Leona and the Thresh having very similar jobs in these 2 compositions. Making sure that James can deal damage, can get the kills, and can snowball himself and their team ahead. isn't as dominant as game number 1, but they are still 4,500 gold ahead. They are ahead in the kills. They have all 3 outer turrets with a Rift Herald still in the inventory, ready to take yet another one.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking to be similar macro, right? They did now lose an elemental over to Stanford, but 3-0 in turrets. This is a 1v2 situation, maybe even 1v3.
Swish knows. Swish doesn't know that Clans is there. He jumps over. The Caitlyn ultimate is there. He flashes over the wall. Flash follows. Dolce Pooncake and Clans follow him. There's a smite. No kill for Dolce, but Clans does pick it up.
I think it makes the best of a bad situation there. I don't think you're supposed to flash after him there if you're Stanford.
No.
You have 2 champions that can make it over that wall if you just wait a few extra seconds. And what is Nar going to do? Try and run through his team? You have the position there. So good thing for Utah,
Ooh.
It's flash for 2 flashes. So actually in favor of Utah, though they do lose the members. So you're probably dead no matter what in this situation. If you can get a couple flashes to join you, that's pretty good. But
yeah.
That means 4v5 for a little bit on the map. Stanford can try and defend that mid, and they do. Things are looking okay for Stanford in the mid game. You can see the gold is not that 15,000 gold lead that was there about 10 minutes forward in game time from where we are right now. But Stanford has to win a fight and then get even more neutral objectives. Turrets have to start falling here in favor of Stanford, or they'll just get nothing.
Well,
and if they can't get those items, they can't get these fights. You can see Caitlyn trying to just wave clear, static shiv, boots, just a BF sword. You can't really take these fights as the Caitlyn to match the kind of damage.
Carlton Thanks goes in. James is still decently healthy. Summoner heal burn. Dolce is locked in the Cataclysm. Carlton Thanks is trying so hard. Kenya manages to pick him up. Dolce has to run out. Clans now goes down. That team fight was immaculate for the University of Utah.
Huh. You know,
Awkward.
Awkward is one way to say it. I would say what's most telling here is that Stanford's just not on the same page with each other.
Yeah.
That was the 1-by-1 solo queue strat, right? There was no team fight there. That was Utah peeling away one member at a time. Carlton Danks goes in, Clans tries to follow up. They can't really do anything if they're only going in one at a time. James got pretty low, but okay, for Stanford, the hope is that you saw how low James got in a 1-by-1 scenario. You can imagine if especially Dolce Pooncake is there, James probably dies. He has no magic resist, he has no health, he has no armor. He probably dies to these people who can get to the back line. But there's the kicker, the caveat being, Stanford actually has to have all of them there, or at least enough members to finish Caitlyn, or finish James here off on the Ashe. Caitlyn has to be there too. Caitlyn was doing red buff while that was happening.
Yeah, that is a little weird. So let's watch, because Dolce was there, just unable to get into position. He immediately has to hit that Sonya's key. So James is all alone up there against the Maokai, and Dolce jumps in but just gets stopped left and right. So there's the 1 going in, there's the 2 going in, and then the 3rd, just like you said, 1-by-1 scratch.
Yeah, I guess I didn't even realize that Dolce Pooncake was there from the first end, just because he was locked down for so long. He doesn't have the CDR yet. The cooldown reduction necessary to have his ultimate always available to essentially nullify Kraton's Cataclysm if it's used on him exclusively, like it kind of was that fight. Locked down the tree for a bit, but not enough. So they just need a little bit more. I misspoke. Caitlyn wasn't doing red, but she was just in the jungle, right? Not in position to follow up that fight. You have to have everybody in position for Stanford. You have crowd control up the wazoo. Now you need your damage in place.
Oh boy, they go in onto Fiddix. Clans wants to get us done. Summoner heal burn, but Kraton is dealing decent damage. Clans goes in solo instead of trying to peel for his carry and goes down himself. But here we go. Teleport coming out from Swish. That is a death sentence onto Mr. PBH, but now the ultimate is here. He gets a decent stun, but that's 4 invulnerable members. Pooncake jumps in onto James, and now it looks like he goes down. Swish is really low, but Carlton Danks and Mr. PBH taking so much damage. Kenya might be able to pick this one up. There's the rock and the volley. That's a kill now for James. Carlton Danks goes in to get the heal, but the play and the combo with Kenya is just too much.
Yeah, that fight looked like it was going so well for Stanford, but let's look at the fight once again, and I want you viewers to, along with me here, how often does Caitlyn get to auto-attack? This shows you why she can't deal damage right now. 1, 2, 3, trap down, and this beautiful play from Carlton. He's going to knock Kraton into another trap. 5, 6, 7, 8. into another auto attack. Phoenix is able to actually fight this entire fight, right? But there's just no damage. One kill is all that comes through for forever in that fight. And now Phoenix is still healthy, doing just fine. Able to keep auto-attacking. Stunned into the wall, but that's just for a short moment. Nice Cosmic Radiance. Even more auto-attacks. Count them. They're coming through. Finally, one crit in that whole fight. And then that's it. Phoenix will die on the edge here. Or excuse me, will get away. The only one who lives for this fight. If we get back to live here, we'll see. There's so many auto-attacks come from Caitlyn, but for 0 damage. Static Shift for Wave Clear does nothing for your team fight damage. That was only 16 auto attacks is actually way too many for an AD carry to get off in a fight and not win it. It's because there wasn't the damage. The eye edge is now completed. It wasn't there for that fight, and only one crit came through with the Static Shiv for crit chance. Now that it's there, team fights that go similarly would actually go heavily in favor of Stanford. They're just not because the damage wasn't there from the backline. The items need to come through. The gold hasn't been there.
Death Sentence from behind. Cataclysm into Enchanted Crystal Arrow, and Clans is taken out. Phoenix is melted. Kenya throws that Chaos Storm to ensue chaos on the plan for Stanford. This is going to be a Baron for Utah.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't get stolen away. I can't imagine it would. Dolce's on the other side of the map this time.
Yeah.
He's going to try to head up this way, but I don't think he'll make it in time to even threaten a steal. This will be a 23 minute Baron. The meme continues here. If you guys have been watching the Baron call, Jihadre said it a couple weeks ago. 23 minutes is when it happens, and he seems to be spot on every single game.
It's the way the meta is right now. If you're ahead at 23 minutes, but not significantly, you will lose the game if you don't win in 23 minutes. That's what the prediction was. And so here we are again, 23 minutes. Utah is ahead, but look by how much. That's 11,000 gold. They are going to win this game with that Baron.
Well, they're going to have to actually break the base if they want that to be true. Now you can see the Static Shiv helps for Caitlyn, and with Infinity Edge, the fight should be okay. The damage should come through, but now they have a Cannon Wave. There's no Banner of Command. This is 8.5, so it's not as...
The Death Sentence does spell death for Phoenix here. And then another stun. Cosmic Radiance is now gone. Kraton is pretty healthy. There's another Death Sentence, but that one's on the Bouquet. He has to hit the Zhonya's. Will he be able to get out? Flashes away, but the slows coming out of Ash. James picks that one up. Another Death Sentence. This man is on fire. Toast is burning right now in that toaster. Swish already on the bot side. Gets them into the base there. This is the push, Superman.
Can they end it?
They did it. I think they can. You've got 3 members down still, about 25 seconds. You have all 5 members in the base with the Baron empowered minions. Look at those waves. But now the fight might be coming in. Carlton Danks wants position, but the flash forward, Kenya just deletes him. No need for the Cataclysm. Carlton Danks goes down. Mr. PBH is pretty healthy, but it is going to mean nothing. The University of Utah take the game with the Baron on the first push when they actually get one.
Yeah, they did secure at that time. This time, 10 turrets to 0. Lost a few more deaths. Lost a dragon, but a pretty clean game once again from University of Utah. They take game 2. Man, convincing game 1, strong performance game 2, not a single lost game here, continuing to be the case for University of Utah. They're now 8-0 game score, 4-0 match record. That falls to 3-1 match record for Stanford, but you can see both these teams really strong. The solo lanes are so good for Stanford, but the bottom lane for Utah just seems to crush every game we watch.
And that's the win condition. That's why we see Kraton there. That's why Swish is so good, is because he does not die.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if he wins the lane. He doesn't die, and he doesn't let his lane opponent get ahead, while Kraton helps the bot lane, while Kenya doesn't die. Yeah. Or if it's Soul Rush there, he roams. It's it's the way Utah plays is to that bottom lane.
Yeah, they just play to that strength of aggressive bottom lane. I'm liking that more. Though you can trust James to late game hyper carry post 40 minutes, why not play more aggressively, draft an aggressive support, and just smash bottom lane and be at late game carry potential by 25 minutes? That's the strategy they've went with in the last 2 games we just saw here, and it seems to work even better than the let's get Lulu Jana or something of that nature and put James on Tristana, Caitlin, Zaya, something like that, and put him in the back line to carry late game and just wait and win for free late game. Why not win for free in half the time?
No game went over 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk about that, because that was when 8.4 was out with all those changes, they thought it would shorten the game time because they didn't want to deal with the Baron. But now that we're in 8.5, that's when the games start getting shorter. Even else, wait, no, we can't talk about that because they are on 8.4. But every game on 8.5 in PACG has been 29-ish minutes or less. It has been so much quicker.
Yeah, I mean, game one was a 15,000 gold lead, just shy of 30 minutes. This game was over in 25 minutes with an 18,000 gold lead. Though it looked a little bit more bloody and messy, it was more explosive, yes. But it was University of Utah just accruing lead into lead into lead, snowballing that advantage into a Nexus kill. You said it, under 30 minutes easily and convincingly in favor of University of Utah. Congratulations to them. That'll put them now moving them into semifinals of PACG, secured position with that amazing 4-0 match score. Let's look at the schedule for this week. You just saw Utah convincingly defeat in a 2-0 fashion Stanford. They're now 4-0 match score, 3-1 for Stanford. Wednesday, we've got a good matchup as well.
It's going to be amazing. The first game we spectated and got to cast for the PACG was Arizona State versus USC. Arizona State looking really good. But then UCLA, we've seen them twice doing amazing work, stopping some of the teams we thought might be a match for them. But this is going to be an amazing game come Wednesday. We're going to see which other team remains undefeated, because right now there are only 4. There are 4 undefeated teams. You have Utah, Arizona State, UCLA, and Washington State. And there can only be 2 at the end of this tournament.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how things develop now as we're approaching postseason. We're into week 5. That was the first game of the day, the one only match we have for you this evening. We have one match, as you just saw on the schedule, for Wednesday, week 5, day 2 of League of Legends. But this is Pacific Alliance of Collegiate Gamers. League of Legends isn't the only title that we
No, definitely not. Tomorrow night it is going to be Overwatch. Wednesday will be League of Legends again. But then Thursday we come into Hearthstone, and Friday will be Rocket League. All of these titles coming to you from the PACG. It's all starting at 7 p.m. Mountain Time each of those days. That is 6 p.m. Pacific. And don't forget, daylight savings happened sometime in the middle of the night last night, so change your watches if you need to.
I didn't change mine.
I'm telling you, man, it screws everybody up. But those are the times, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, 6 p.m. Pacific. Come watch all of the PACG because it is high-quality broadcasting stuff.
Yeah, that's important, the daylight saving thing, if you're an Arizona fan, for Wednesday.
Oh,
because they're the one state that doesn't change. So
that's right.
It'll be a little bit different there. But, yeah, we're thankful that you joined us here for our stream this evening. Again, my name is Jake, Superman Mori. You can check me out on all sorts of social media, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, and the like, at Superman Casting or supermancasting.com.
Ben Juhadre Sorensen. Anywhere you see the name Juhadre, that is me. I am the one and only.
Yeah, we're very thankful once again to our entire volunteer staff here. The production is full volunteer production. Thanks to everybody out there. Thank you, viewers, for joining us. We hope to see you tomorrow once again for Overwatch Wednesday. You'll join the 2 of us here. We'll be casting for you more League of Legends action coming your way. Pacific Alliance for Collegiate Gamers wishes you a great evening. Thanks again. Have a good night.